Hotel rooms. It was midnight. All that could be heard was the old, rusty air conditioner and the faint sound of speeding cars right outside the door. The hotel room was a complete mess. Toilet paper hung from the walls, tissues created a carpet on the floor, and mud was packed into the carpet from Sonic's alleged assault that took a span of 16 seconds. As Tom softly snored from the first bed, closest to the wall that separated the main room from the bathroom, Sonic sat awake, trembling. He looked over at Tom, who was happily dozed off and sighed to himself.
What are we gonna do now, Tom?
Sonic never liked the idea of sleeping, mainly because of his paranoia that he would be captured in his sleep. Sonic usually only slept 3 out of the 7 days a week, and even so, the blue blur was still as hyper as a rocket, but not now. Right now he desperately wanted to fall asleep, like Tom, but he can't. He's afraid. He's afraid of the sounds outside the door. In his mind, the Mobian tried to convince himself that there was nothing to be afraid of, and that Robotnik wasn't outside the door right now, waiting for him to fall asleep so he can strike. The hedgehog began to panic as he heard the sounds of a car pulling up into a parking spot directly across from the room they were staying in.
No.
He thought as he felt his breath hitch. He felt his eyes begin to tear up as he swiftly hid himself under the covers of the bed. He didn't notice the flow of tears coming from his eyes. He began to softly whimper. Oh, dear.
Wait, why am I crying? I shouldn't be crying. I need to be strong.
The Mobian whimpers turned into loud, violent sobs. Sonic never really liked crying, or seeing others cry. The idea reminded him of his mouth. No, he can't think about that right now.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for getting you involved with my problems. I'm sorry for ruining your life. I'm sorry. I'll just go. I'll leave and never come back. You will never need to see this useless alien.
His breath hitched. He didn't like being called an alien. For a matter of fact, he hated it. He burst into sobs once again. His thoughts were interrupted by the sound of the bed creaking from right next to him.
Sonic.
It was the sheriff. His loud sobs must have woken Tom from his peaceful slumber. Sonic remained silent as he heard footsteps walking towards his bed. He wiped his eyes with a now wet glove as he felt the covers being gently pulled off of him.
Crap.
He muttered quietly, but loud enough for Tom to be able to hear. He looked up at the middle-aged man, who was wearing a frown of concern. The small hedgehog watched as Tom sat down on the bed across from him. Tom noticed the flow of tears coming from Sonic's tear ducts and concluded that this is what happens when someone keeps their emotions repressed for way too long. He instantly pulled the blue blur into a tight hug. He felt his white tee become wet with tears as the teen sobbed into his shirt, gripping it tightly. Tom could even feel his eyes tearing up. He now knew why Sonic never showed this side of himself, because when Sonic cries, he could cry himself the whole Hudson River. Tom hugged the trembling rodent for a good 30 minutes when he pulled away from the hug and looked at the Mobian, who had swollen and puffy eyes.
Do you want to talk about it?
Sonic hesitated for a moment, then sighed and replied.
Yes!